Yo, man. Welcome to No True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Hey, you guys, I'm sorry, man, that we took off about a week or so. But, hey, for real, your boy was battling that sinus infection. It was getting a little spooky. My voice was a little raspy and all that good stuff. And last week, I didn't really feel like there was a lot that really needed to be said. Seeing how I've been telling y'all everything that was going to take place the last couple weeks anyway. I told y'all the Bengals wasn't going to make it. I told y'all the Chiefs was going to sit everybody. I told y'all the Bengals was going to win. Like, I told y'all all those things. So there wasn't no major storylines that week. Josh Allen was pretty much going to sit, so it was going to enhance the MVP talk. Saquon, we all knew, was probably going to sit, so on and so forth. So, like, there just wasn't a lot to get into last week, and I figured instead of giving y'all quality that I'm not 100% enthused about, how about I go ahead, just take the week off, and so on and so forth. Now, this week, we're getting back to it on Sundays, and then we're going to come back later on, probably about Thursday. I plan on releasing an episode actually fully reviewing all these wild card games. And then next Sunday, we're getting to the preview of the next round of the divisional games. So with that being the case, now we're going to go ahead and get started with this episode. The first thing we're going to talk about in this episode are a couple regular season points that I just want to get out the way. We're not really going to go over all the coach firings right now, anything like that. We'll worry about that after the season. But right now, I want to talk about two things that took place in the regular season. Then we'll talk about the MVP talk, and then we'll get into the wild card games. So first thing I want to talk about is the Cincinnati Bengals. At the beginning of the year, I said that we're going to have to really start looking at Zach Taylor. Here we are 4 or 5 weeks into the year, and we're 1-4. With Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson, and all these other guys on our roster, we got to look at that. Then we are 4-8 at one point. 4-8 with that level of talent on our roster. That's not good, bro. That's not a good look. Bengals, you did not deserve to make the playoffs this season. And it sucks because you have one of, if not maybe even the best offense in the NFL. It would have been great show, great TV. It would have been great competition. It would have been great for all of it, all the above. But here we are sitting outside the playoffs because we had a horrendous start. Losing the season for them came down to one damn game. If you don't lose the opener to the New England Patriots, you are in. A team who ended up having 3 wins, and 1 of the 3 was against y'all. Y'all got to answer for that. Somebody has to answer. And Lou Anarumo getting fired is not the answer. Bengals, you deserve not to make it. Now, a lot of Bengals fans, I know you ain't going to like to hear this. And I'm not saying this just because I'm a Chief fan. I'm just saying it keeping the buck with you. I'm saying it from a knowing true ball standpoint, sincerely. The Chiefs didn't go out there to throw that game. The Chiefs' backup quarterback is Carson Wentz. The last time you saw Carson Wentz in a game was with the Indianapolis Colts against the Tennessee Titans with the playoffs on the line, and he was ass cheeks. He's not good. He's not good. Like, it's that plain and simple. We benched all the starters. You bench Patrick Mahomes, who earlier this year, a lot of y'all was telling me that he shouldn't have been playing anyway because he had a high ankle sprain. So now that the Chiefs want to get him extra rest, now that they locked up the number 1 seed, they're scared to play against Cincinnati. Travis Kelce is going on the age of 34, 35 years old. If you could get him a break, give him a break. D-Hop, seasoned veteran. Noah Gray's been getting beat up. Offensive line always gets beat up. Chris Jones banged up with a calf strain. George Karlaftis has played pretty much every single snap, it feels like. Same as Trent McDuffie. And to top all that off, you gotta have to realize that they have played the equivalent of, well, some of those guys, not every single one, but a lot of them, have played the equivalent of as an additional season than anybody else in the league because of how far the Chiefs make it in the playoffs every single year during the Patrick Mahomes era. That's how many extra games they have played because they're going so deep every single year. So now, yes, they take a break. Now, also, let me explain to you what happens when you have a really good roster. In order to keep this roster intact, guys have to get paid. Look at the 49ers. Guys have to get paid. So when you pay guys, what happens is you have to sacrifice your depth. Our backups ain't going to be that good. Our backups are not that good. That's just keeping it a buck with you guys. So now this is what we truly had going on. We got a washed up quarterback in Carson Wentz. We got backup offensive linemen that may not even make the roster on a lot of other teams. You have backup defensive players that may not make the roster on a lot of other teams. Going against a playoff team at home, talk about the Denver Broncos. The last time we played, they had a tragic loss off of the blocked field goal, and they have to win this game to make the playoffs. Y'all tell me how that game's going to go. And then just, hey, guess what, bro? When you first go out there, you hyped up, you blah, blah, blah. After a quarter of you getting your head punched in, you kind of sometimes you may put your hands up. I personally don't do that. I'm personally going to fight until the end. But some guys are like that. We got to remember that these guys are humans. So maybe did they quit by after halftime? Maybe they did. But I'm just saying there wasn't no intention of going in there to purposely lose. That's not how the Chiefs roll. Now what I will tell you is that you all are adding fuel to the fire for the Chiefs. Part of the reason why the Chiefs have a great chance, in my personal opinion, of winning this year is honestly because of a lot of fans. A lot of NFL fans that are adding fuel to their fire. But we'll get into that later because in addition to this episode, I'm going to give y'all how I think every team could win the Super Bowl this year and why I think they could get there. So I'll get into that later. But Bengals, you cannot be mad at nobody but yourselves. You guys lost games that you should have won. You did not take care of business. Y'all think that y'all could start off slow every single season. And I don't know if y'all should pay T. Higgins or not. I'm just keeping it a buck. I really don't know. Because your offensive line still sucks. You need to build that area. Your defensive line is not, your defense is not great. Outside of Trey Hendricks, you have nothing else on the defensive line. I don't know. I don't know what the Bengals should do. To be honest with you guys, I haven't looked into it far enough. But Bengal fans, you guys got some work to do. And don't be mad at nobody but yourselves. Moving on now to our second season topic that I want to talk about real quick. Saquon Barkley and the rushing record. At the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles made the right decision. They did. They made the right decision in sitting Saquon Barkley in that last game. Mainly because you would have to play the offensive lineman and all these other pieces. You would have to play them. So in order to get them rest and you don't have a bye week the next week, I get it. I ain't mad at it. I really ain't. But man, I was salty. He had a real chance to break that record. And I believe that he would have smashed that record. And it's very, very reasonable. Because he would have did it in less carries than Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson, I believe, had 375, something like that, carries. And Saquon wasn't even at 350 yet. I think he had 349. You wasn't going to give him the ball 25 times in that game. He was probably only going to need 16 carries to keep it a buck. And the part that sucks the most to me is that he probably could have broke it in 16 games. But he sat out the rest of the Giants game earlier this year. He sat out the rest of the Cowboys game a couple weeks ago. So he gave up that opportunity. And it sucks, man. That's a record I would love to see beaten. Not because I got hate on Eric Dixon or anything. It's just an amazing accomplishment. I would love to see it broken. But I get it. And those of you, man, lay off the Eagles. Let them do their thing. And when you also look at the amount of injuries that they go through, honestly, on a regular basis, you guys, Jalen Hurts out with a concussion last year. I want to say he had a bum ankle. This year, A.J. Brown, as always, he's banged up somewhere, as always. Devontae Smith missed some games. They go through it on offense, man. So with that being the case, I do see why they benched him. I just hate that they benched him. But going on now from Saquon, let's get into the MVP conversation. Okay, you guys, I'm keeping this straight factual. This is knowing true ball. I don't care about no race. I don't care about no excitement of play. I don't care about none of that. None of it. We talking straight ball here, okay? Lamar Jackson's having a fantastic season. Fantastic. So is Josh Allen. And that's who the MVP's coming down to. Now, if you want to go for co-MVPs, I ain't going to really fight with you too much about it. But to me, honestly, I think the MVP is easy to me. It's Josh Allen. That's who it is. And I'm not even the biggest Josh Allen guy. I'm a bigger Lamar guy than Josh Allen guy. I love Lamar. But Lamar is definitely probably my second favorite quarterback in the league. He's third in my rankings for me personally. I'll go Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and then Lamar. That's just me. And if you want to go Josh Allen ahead of Lamar, I ain't going to fight with you. I think they're on the same tier. For me personally, the one biggest thing, honestly, that makes it lean Josh Allen to me is that the Ravens have lost 5 games. And all of those games they lost, Derrick Henry had less than 20 carries in. And I think most of them he had less than 15 carries. Derrick Henry never been hurt this season. Nothing's ever been wrong with him. Which means that you just didn't give him the football. Which means that you put the ball in Lamar's hands to win the game. And he didn't. But when you won games, Derrick Henry had the ball for 20 or more times, or he probably rushed for at least 110 yards or more if he didn't get the ball 20 more times because, they were blowing people out. So he had major production in every win. The losses is when he did not have the major production, which tells me that your team low-key teeters off of him. Then on top of that, the way I see MVP, I don't look at MVP as a stat award. There were guys in the league that had better stats than Lamar last year, but I was in full agreement that Lamar should be the league MVP last year. You got the number 1 seed in the AFC. You outdid the Chiefs. You outdid the Bills. You didn't have another star on your offense. Your running back was Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins and Kenyon Mitchell. And obviously Justice Hill. Your wide receivers are Zay Flowers, a rookie, or Rashad Bateman, who couldn't catch a ball before this season. And guys like that, the only guy you had was Mark Andrews, who got hurt last year as well, off of the hip drop tackle. So with that being the case, I was in full agreement that last year he should have been league MVP. I didn't care about the stats. And I don't care about the stats now. My game don't change, bro. My game stays the same. And with that being the case, it has to go Josh Allen for me. You lose Stephon Diggs. And not just did you lose Diggs, you lost a lot of defense. So I'm going to take away your top wide receiver, your second best wide receiver in Gabe Davis. Never been a fan of his, but he was their second best wide receiver. And what I'm going to tell you to do is, hey, bro, you got to go out there and score even more points than what you did with those guys because the defense is not going to be as good. This should have been a rebuilding year, man. Instead, they are the 2nd seed in the NFL. They're the only team to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I ain't counting that one against Denver just because the Chiefs said everybody. That's a major accomplishment for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen had all the superstar plays and all that kind of stuff, all the big moments. He had them. He had them this year, guys. We can't argue that. And when they lost, he showed up. When they lose to the Rams, he scored 6 touchdowns, and he has one of the greatest fantasy weeks that you'll ever see. Even in those games, he was that dude. Now, you also got to take into account that last week of the season, he didn't need to play. So his stats ain't going to look great. I'm sorry, are going to be kind of diminished because he didn't get that 17th game. Lamar did. Now, let's even go to the stats real quick. We're saying that Josh Allen had 3,700 yards passing, 530 yards rushing. So you say about a total of 4,200 yards. He had 26 touchdowns on the ground, 28 in the air, and pretty much 13 on the ground. So we're going to say he got 41 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, 6 turnovers. Period. Turnovers. Because y'all are skewing that stat. He has 6 turnovers. That's it. On Lamar's side, he has 41, well, almost 4,200 passing yards, 900 rushing yards. So he had a 5,000 yard season, and 45 touchdowns total, but 8 turnovers. So see, the touchdowns to me comes back down. That balances out for them because Josh had less turnovers. You had more. I didn't even get into this. Lamar also took more sacks. I want to say Lamar took 23. Allen took 16. That's not, when it comes down to these two guys, that's not really a offensive line stat. See, with Joe Burrow, that's an offensive line stat. Patrick Mahomes, that's an offensive line stat. With guys like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, the high scrambling guys, the Jaden Daniels, those guys tend to hold the ball long because they believe they can get out of every situation. So those negative plays also fall on Lamar, in my personal opinion. So now when you're saying that you even got more sacks, pretty much we're saying that y'all did the same amount of point production. Now, Lamar, you have hella more yards, but your point production was pretty much the same. Now, also, you got to get into the style of games that you're in. When you're playing against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals twice, and the Bengals are scoring 40 points on your defense, guess what? You got to keep scoring. So your stats get inflated. Now, those stats count. All of them count for Lamar because he had to do that in order for them to win. He played fantastic in both of those Cincinnati Bengal games. But I'm just saying, like, that helps get your numbers up. Notice that when Josh Allen had to do that against the Detroit Lions and against the Los Angeles Rams, his numbers were skyrocketed too. Josh Allen was putting teams to sleep early. And when you put them to sleep so early, you don't have to do as much. It's just that plain and simple. So, all that being said, that's why I'm leaning towards Josh Allen. Josh Allen's stats, in my personal opinion, are comparable to Lamar Jackson's. Now, the yards are not. I give you that. The yards are not. But as far as the major stats, in my personal opinion, with a quarterback, touchdowns accounted for, and turnovers and sacks, he is on par. And his team was better. He led his team better. And he does not have the other weapons that Lamar Jackson has. You take Lamar Jackson out there and put an average quarterback in. Let's say that you take out Lamar Jackson and you put Geno Smith there. That's still a playoff team. They're going 10-7. They're going to make the playoffs. Do they win the division? No. But do they make the playoffs? Yes. Actually, they still may win the division this year with 10-7 because that's how the Steelers got in with 10-7. With Josh Allen, you take Josh Allen off and you tell me that you put Geno Smith there, that's not a playoff team. Therefore, he is the most valuable player. Now, also, you want to go for valuable, Pat should be in that conversation as well. But see, that's what I'm saying. He don't have the numbers to even try to get there. Without Pat, the Chiefs, I don't know what their record might be. It'd be bad. It'd be really, really bad. But he doesn't deserve to be there because he has not had those moments. He has not had those high eclipse and stat numbers. He doesn't rival the stats. The stats have to rival each other. But then that's when I get to who is more valuable. If Saquon would have broke the record, though, I would have said Saquon. But with this being the case, Josh Allen is my league MVP, and honestly, I think it's pretty easy. Now, let's go ahead and get into these wildcard games. Now, I know I did not get to you guys yesterday, so I'm asking you to take my word on this. I'm going to admit the ones I'm wrong on. I'm going to admit the things I'm right on. But we had the Los Angeles Chargers play at the Houston Texans yesterday. The final score of that game was 12-32. We had Justin Herbert go 14-38, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, and 4 picks. Lad McConkey, he had 9 catches, 197 yards, and 1 touchdown. I'm going to start off with the Chargers first. The only way that I pictured them even having the opportunity of winning the Super Bowl was going to be that the defense is playing fantastic and you're asking Justin Herbert to be a game manager. That's the only way that they had a shot. They overachieved this year and highly overachieved this year. That roster is not a good roster. Lad McConkey, he's proven that he's a really, really good wideout. But if he's your number one, I'll take that back. If he's your most reliable explosive play target, that's not good for your team. That is not good. Look at Wes Welker. Wes Welker was really, really good. Julian Edelman, really, really good. That's who he's supposed to be. Quality guys, you need them. They are great players, but Wes Welker at his best had Randy Moss on the other side. Wes Welker at his best had Demaryius Thomas on the other side in Denver. Julian Edelman at his best had a healthy Gronk on the field. Like, there has to be that other guy that is the physical specimen on the roster. And right now, they don't have that because Quentin Johnston ain't that guy. Now, Quentin Johnston has shown enough to where I am willing to keep him as my wide receiver 3. But he is not my wide receiver 2. He damn sure ain't a 1. So with that being the case, there's only so far you're going to go. J.K. Dobbins, I think that he's better suited as an RB2 on your roster, more so than an RB1. He just went through a lot of injuries, you guys. His explosiveness is not quite the same, and he already has a miniature frame. So like you would love to have him next to a Derrick Henry if you could. That would be the dream. But like bigger backs like that, you at minimum want a Bucky Irvin and Rashard White situation. Talk about the comparables to each other that the Buccaneers got with J.K. Dobbins. I would love to have J.K. Dobbins next to Kenny Walker. That's a perfect dream to me. But they just did not have the horses. You just did not have the horses. Defensively, you do got some horses, but I mean, that's all you got. When you're on the field so much and you get short fields and things like that, there's only so much you can defend. So I think that their ceiling was the next round. Their floor was what they did in the game. Now, let's look on the other side real quick, man. We saw C.J. Stroud go 22 of 33, 282 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Nico Collins, seven catches, 122 yards and a touchdown. And Joe Mixon closed out the game, 106 yards and a touchdown. Well, I watched this game. After the interception that C.J. Stroud threw, I said to myself, if the Chargers do not score points here, they will lose this game. And that's what happened. The score was 6-0. And Justin Herbert throws that first interception. That first interception, in my personal opinion, is 100% on Justin Herbert. That was his fault. It was a bad read. I know, first of all, let me be clear. I didn't like the play call. I thought the play design was terrible. But at the end of the day, he's the quarterback. He decides where the ball goes. And he chose to go and take that shot. He had somebody wide open in a flat dead in front of his face, but he wanted to take the shot. He wanted to get the big play because they were up 6-0 and had some momentum. So he wanted to get the big play. Obviously, it didn't work. And then when C.J. Stroud breaks out the sack, he throws that pass to convert, I want to say, a long third down. That's when I was like, the tide changed. The tide moved. And that's when the Houston Texans started raining down. That's when they started raining down. Now, I actually picked the Houston Texans to win this football game. The reason why I picked them to win this football game is because I thought that their defense would be too much for the Chargers. This was a game where I thought, I felt like this. Both defenses are strong, but which one is stronger? I felt like it was the Texans. And I felt like both offenses was actually on the same level. Because also the Los Angeles Chargers are not the same team on the road than what they are at home. Now, if this was in L.A., I probably would have went Chargers. But because it was in Houston, this is one of them where the home field advantage actually made a major, major difference. Now, let's talk about the second Justin Herbert interception. The second one was 100% his fault. His feet was not set. He threw a bullet pass like he always does. He doesn't really throw with the right touch, I personally believe. But he threw a bullet pass. It was high. He threw it to a shorter wide receiver in Ladd McConkey, a lesser of an athlete of wide receiver in Ladd McConkey. He ain't getting that ball. Pick 6. The third interception, that was not Herbert's fault. I know the tight end had to stretch out for it, Will Disley, but you got to catch that ball. You're a professional tight end. Cradle that thing in. That one is not Herbert's fault. The bomb on the right side at the end of the game, I really don't give a damn. You was just shooting for a Hail Mary pass. You just threw that John up there. Like, that's just what took place. Now, if you want to critique the throw, then yeah, it's his fault because he could have threw it more ahead. He could have threw it more touch. He could have threw it blah, blah, blah. He tried to throw it on a rope. Sometimes you don't need to throw it on a rope. Let that thing fly. Let that moon ball for Russell Wilson kick in. So in this situation for me, we got to start having a real conversation about Justin Herbert. Been in the league 5 years. He's missed the playoff 3 years. He's never had a bad roster. Hell, this is actually the worst roster he's ever had. Now, he has had bad coaching, but he's never had a bad roster. You miss the playoff 3 years, you make it twice. The first time you make it, you blow a 20-plus point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This time you blew another lead. You was up 6-0, but you could not convert to score points, and that's why you lost the game. I think we got to calm down on him being a top 5 quarterback for sure. Maybe we even got to calm down on him being top 10. He got some stuff to prove, but we got to stop acting like he doesn't. Yeah, we see the talent. The talent's there. There are a lot of guys I still take Justin Herbert over. But we got to have a true conversation about when the pressure mounts, when the game is at its highest point, he's not getting it done. You can even go back a couple years to the regular season game where Jalen Watson picked off Justin Herbert on a pass to Gerald Everett, and that ended up being a pick 6 in Kansas City. The Chargers should have won that football game. But that ended up being an interception. Now you can go back and say that Gerald Everett did not get the effort they need to on that play, so on and so forth. But as a quarterback, it's your job to know that. You saw him slowly run out there to line up. You saw him come to the huddle out of breath. You saw all of that. You shouldn't have never threw the ball. And if you're going to throw the ball, you throw it dead at his chest. Don't lead him. Throw it at his chest. Make that ball punch him so he has to catch it. That's what should have took place. And that's what I'm getting at. When it comes down to this stuff with him, like, we have to hold him accountable. The talent's there, but you got to play better. On the winning side, man, for the Houston Texans, great job on defense, man. The defense was outstanding. I thought the cornerbacks were sticky. The safeties played fantastic. You saw the difference that Al Algier makes. He solidifies the run defense. He is their run defense. And once the Chargers could not run the football, the game was over. The game was dead because that's what their offense is predicated off of. You saw the pass rush. You saw everything. And this is how Houston could try to win the Super Bowl. They have to be a defensive-oriented football team, not turn the ball over on offense. Do not shoot yourself in the foot with false start penalties, Larry Tunsil. And control the game clock. They should be going into every single game with the idea of, like, hey, offense, we need to score 18 points. Defense, hold them to less. And it is 18 points. We're going to possess the ball for over 35 minutes. If they possess the ball for over 35 minutes, they could win that football game. But if they give up the ball longer than that, they will not win that football game. They do not have the offensive powers to overcompensate for that. That's their route to make it to the Super Bowl. Now, right now, they're going to be looking at playing either against the Baltimore Ravens or the Kansas City Chiefs. So they got a tough draw either way. The likelihood is that they're going to Arrowhead to play against the Chiefs again. The good thing for them is that you did play them once. So you have an idea of what they are. But granted, the Chiefs were not fully healthy then. They are actually fully healthy pretty much now. So you're going to have some pieces out there that wasn't out there last time that are going to be major contributors in this game if they go to Kansas City. But for the Houston Texans for 1 week, great win. Y'all played fantastic in the second half. The first half, the offense was struggling. Y'all got it together. But the second half, y'all played fantastic. Y'all played balanced. And I think that's y'all's key. That's y'all's formula for winning a Super Bowl. Moving on now to the second game, and we had the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Final score of that game was 14-28 with the Ravens getting the dub. We saw Russell Wilson go 270 for 2 touchdowns off of 20 of 29 passing. We saw Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry showcase why they are who they are. Lamar Jackson had 175 in the air, 2 touchdowns, and 81 on the ground. And we had Derrick Henry get 186 and 2 tutties. First of all, pause. They played the Steelers 3 times. 3 times. They lost to them 1 time. The one loss, Derrick Henry had less than 20 touches. The other 2, Derrick Henry had more than 20 touches. Derrick Henry goes for over $120, $130, I believe, in both of the wins. I'm not trying to say that Derrick Henry is the injury that makes it go, because it's not. It is Lamar Jackson. But the way that they play off of each other, Derrick Henry opens up so much more for Lamar, and Lamar opens up so much more for Derrick Henry that neither one of them can be the league MVP. Because they need each other. But anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. The Pittsburgh Steelers, man, you got to fire Arthur Smith. Period, point blank. I truly think that, honestly, if they had damn near any other offensive coordinator, they would be a true Super Bowl contender this year. But with Arthur Smith, it's a horrendous offense. You're telling me that all of a sudden in the second half, you can all of a sudden throw the football. Bro, it could be 3rd and 30 and this dude's trying to run the ball. Like, what, like, I just do not understand why people think that he's a good offensive coordinator. I do not understand why he has a job as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. And I damn sure don't understand why he's getting head coaching interviews or opportunities. Like, what the hell has he done? He only had one top flight offense in Tennessee. That's when he had an alien in Derrick Henry, who was rushing for 2,000 yards by himself. He didn't have to do nothing else. You go to Atlanta, trash. You get Bijan Robinson, you got this man look like a bust. There's only one guy in the league that has the skill set of Bijan Robinson, and that's Saquon Barkley. And you tell me that you made him look like he was trash? I just don't understand it. Then this is all I'm going to say on this. Mike Tomlin, if you hired Arthur Smith, if you hired him, this is the first time I ever said this. I will have no issue with a Steelers fan wanting you out. Because I believe in you that much as a coach. I think that you are that smart of a coach that you know that Arthur Smith is not a great offensive coordinator. But if you handpicked him, you have to suffer the consequences of that. Now, Khan, if you made him take Arthur Smith, you need fired for that. That was, like, to me, this is just as bad as Bill Belichick not hiring an offensive coordinator. Like, it's that bad to me. Because I sincerely think Arthur Smith is that bad of an offensive coordinator. You could have hired Eric Bieniemy. You could have went after a Cliff Kingsbury. You could have went after a lot of guys. And look at the skill sets of the quarterbacks that, like, Cliff Kingsbury has led. He's led Jaden Daniels. He's led Caleb Williams. He's led Kyler Murray. He's led Patrick Mahomes. And you got Justin Fields, who falls in line with a lot of those same skill sets that 3 of those quarterbacks got. Pat, he's in another world. We know that. But Kyler, Caleb, Jaden, Fields share a lot of those same skill sets. Like, there's just an abundance of guys that you could have brought in. I would have rather you bring in a new booty than mess with Arthur Smith. For the Steelers now, just to backtrack a little bit, for y'all to have a chance to win this Super Bowl this year, you're just going to live off of great defense and big plays. That's all. Now, for the Ravens, for y'all to win the Super Bowl, you just need your defense to play average. Your defense plays average football, y'all will win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, pause. Your defense plays average football, y'all just do not forget that Derrick Henry's back there. Y'all can win the Super Bowl. It's that plain and simple. My issue is that, like I told y'all before, I see Todd Monken the same way I see Brandon Staley. At some point, he's going to mess it up. And in that game, he tried to mess it up. There was that little spat in the third quarter where they started trying to throw the ball heavy and they wasn't getting nothing, nada. They just got lucky that the Steelers couldn't capitalize on that. If that was Kansas City, y'all would have lost. If that was Buffalo, y'all would have lost. But y'all played them. Y'all got away with it. But next time you won't. Do not get away from giving Derrick Henry that football. I know Lamar's y'all's franchise guy, but Derrick Henry has to touch that rock. It's that plain and simple. Now, in this football game, was the biggest key for the Ravens winning this football game is that they took T.J. Watt out the game. That's why they won. They did look at every single read option was towards T.J. Watt. And the Pittsburgh Steelers told T.J. Watt, crash down, get to Derrick Henry. I'm actually okay with that. The issue is that the next spot, I don't feel like they did great at coaching. First of all, I would have had Patrick Queen on the same side as T.J. Watt in this game. Put Wilson on the opposite side. Make them two play off of each other. Because I trust Patrick Queen in open space against Lamar Jackson more than I trust Wilson. And I like Wilson. Wilson's a good player. But that's just what I personally would have did. Also, I would have told that linebacker, you watch Lamar. So, therefore, as soon as he goes, he's already scraped over, waiting on him. That's just what I would have did. Yes, I do understand that you give up that zone. Yes, I do understand that you give up the running back maybe out the flat. I'm living with that. First of all, mobile quarterbacks like Lamar, they don't like to throw the ball in the flat. I'm going to make him prove to me that he's willing to do that. That's first of all. Secondly, I would much rather stop Lamar in his legs than let him do what he did in that game. Lamar was dominant in that football game. Now, also for Lamar, man, hey, he played great, man. Decision making was great. He didn't really make too many mistakes, in my personal opinion. Defensively for the Ravens, they look great. They look good against them, but also it's a bad offense. So I don't know how much to take from that game. Now, we'll find out next week when they go against the Buffalo Bills or the Houston Texans. The lower seed, just as y'all don't know, the lower seed plays against the Chiefs next week. The other team plays against the Ravens. So, yeah, we'll see what takes place with that. I don't really know what to expect from their defense in that game. But the Baltimore Ravens offensively, they looked really, really good in this game. Now, let's go ahead and move on now. I end up going with the Ravens to pick that game. I did think it was more of a toss-up, but I did end up picking the Ravens to win that football game. Now, let's go on to these Sunday football games. We got the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are minus 8.5-point favorites. That's a big spread. I would not take that. I would not take that spread. I do not think the Bills' defense is that good to hold Denver to that. And also, I think Denver's defense is not getting enough credit. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, look at these games where they gave up big production. Yeah, and usually in those games that they gave up big production, like there's a lot going on in those offenses. Buffalo ain't got that. Buffalo don't have a Jamar Chase for me to worry about. They don't have a T. Higgins. They don't have a Chase Brown. They don't. Well, they do got Chase Brown. James Cook and Chase Brown, they're comparable. But like they don't have all that for me to worry about. So with that being the case, I mean, I'm gonna put PS2 on Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman 1 to 2. And actually, I probably put Amari Cooper. His route tree is going to be more expanded than Keon Coleman's. I could put a safety over the top on Keon Coleman, and he's out the game. I think Denver has a real shot to win this football game. Because also, you got to think about the home field advantage. Denver comes from playing Mile High Stadium. You also got to add in that they're from Denver. They're used to snow. They're used to cold air. They're used to all that kind of stuff. So this advantage that Buffalo typically has on teams, they do not have that same level of advantage against the Denver Broncos. So with that being the case, I think Denver Broncos have a true shot. Their offense is multiple. They run the ball steady. They're not explosive in the running game, but they're steady in the run game. And Bo Nix has been proven to be willing to take the plays that you give him. Bo Nix deserves his flowers. If it wasn't for Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix will be Rookie of the Year. Like, he's been really, really good. And I was completely wrong on him. I did not think he's going to be good at all. And he's proven to be a really good quarterback. I still question his ceiling of how good he could be. But as far as a quarterback that could lead a team to the playoffs and maybe have a playoff run, like a Joe Flacco-like thing, he could do that. He could do that. So with that being the case, I think the Buffalo Bills have a really, really tough game. Now, for the Denver Broncos to win this football game and to make it to the Super Bowl, control the clock. Control the clock and let your defense do the work. You have a top-flight defense in the NFL. Control the clock, and Bo Nix, you convert first downs. That's the only job. Some teams look at it as scoring touchdowns. That's the Baltimore Ravens. They got to score touchdowns. That's the Buffalo Bills. They got to score touchdowns. The Cincinnati Bengals, they got to score touchdowns. Teams like that, you have to score touchdowns. The Detroit Lions have to score touchdowns. The Minnesota Vikings have to score touchdowns. This is a team that you don't have to score touchdowns to win. So don't make mistakes. Do not turn the ball over. Control the ball. And Broncos, you will win this game. And with that exact formula, you guys can make it to the Super Bowl. It's that plain and simple. Now, on the other side, the Buffalo Bills, just keep doing what you're doing. Play average defense and let Josh Allen win the game. It's just that plain and simple for them. Because Josh Allen is a force that you cannot stop. You cannot stop him. You just got to contain him and just play smart. If you play smart, eventually he probably will give you a couple balls that you can pick off. And you got to take advantage of those opportunities. But For the Bills, this is that plain and simple. Now, in this game for the Bills, I will focus on running the football. That's what I would do against the Broncos. Try to run the football, get that defense to cave in a little bit, and now you can work off a play-action pass. That's what I would do in this football game. In this game, I got the Buffalo Bills still winning. I got the Buffalo Bills winning by like 3 or 4 points, though. Moving on to the next game, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are minus 5-point favorites. The Eagles should win this game, but this game feels like a game that the Eagles be busting in, honestly. Like, the Eagles tend to fall when you really start believing in them. I believe that the rush defense of the Green Bay Packers is not that bad, so they can hold up. The question is, can Jordan Love make enough plays? And my answer is no. So with that being the case, I will go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't really make a case of why I think the Green Bay Packers have a chance at the Super Bowl. The only thing I will give you is that their defense is above average. They're not great. They're not average. They're in that middle. And if they play to that level, if they force turnovers, they get the ball to the offense, and Jordan Love is clicking, now they can win a Super Bowl. The issue is Jordan Love, he's too much of this. He's way too much of this. Game to game, I don't know. Hell, not even game to game. Throw to throw. I don't know what's about to take place. When he throws that ball up, you're like, it's either going to be a pick or it's a touchdown. It's that plain and simple. And I don't think that you can win a Super Bowl with a guy like that, because there has to be some type of rhythm in the offense. There has to be some type of belief in not turning the ball over when you come down to playoff games. And then with the Philadelphia defensive line, Jalen Carter's coming. He's coming. Cooper DeJean ain't going to give Jaden Reed a whole lot of stuff in that slot. The guy that I actually would be trying to attack if I was them, I'll be trying to attack Darius Slay. But with Christian Watson out, that's going to make it tougher to do. So with that being the case, the Green Bay Packers just need to lean on rushing the football with Josh Jacobs and try to control the clock and win with defense. Now for the Philadelphia Eagles, just do what you're supposed to do. Just do what you're supposed to do. No blown coverages on defense. Just do what you're supposed to do. And then to top that off, don't turn the ball over. That's all we got to do. Get the ball to Saquon, you're going to win this football game. And also, to be clear, I think that's their road to the Super Bowl. That's all you got to do. Get the ball to Saquon and play defense. I don't think anybody can stop them if they do that. Sorry about that, guys, man. I got a call from the wife, bro. We had a bird in the house. I had to go upstairs and get the bird. Daddy got a job to do first. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. We finished up talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, so we're going to move on now to the next game. But we got the Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are minus 3-point favorites. I think it's fair, because when you say minus 3, that means that you're saying the game is even, because you automatically get 3 points at home. So you're saying the game is deadlock even. And I actually lean the Commanders win this football game. I'm picking the Commanders. I'm picking them because they played week 1, and the Commanders, that was, Jaden Daniels' first game. You're trying to fill out what you got. At that time, they didn't know how they were going to get Terry McLaurin into a prominent role of the offense, so on and so forth. And then for the Buccaneers side, you don't have Chris Godwin no more. Now, yes, McMillan has stepped up. He's played fantastic. But now, bro, we talking about playoff time. This time to go time. And plus, you talk about a guy like Marshawn Lattimore have now been brought into the play with the Washington Commanders. The Commanders have only gotten better. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have stayed stagnant. Like, they are what they are. And with that being the case, I'm leaning with the Commanders. I think this game will be the most exciting game on the slate. Both of these offenses, I think, are going to put up 35, 31 points. I think the final score is going to be something like that. I think it's going to be a great football game to watch, a fun football game to watch. I won't say great football game because I count defense in great football games. But I think this will be a fun football game to watch. Very entertaining. So with that being the case, man, I'm going with the Commanders. I think the Commanders should just continue doing what you're doing on offense, and defensively just play with effort. As long as you hit and things like that, you're going to make enough stops to slow down this Tampa Bay offense. You cannot let Bucky Irving get off. Now, if he starts balling, that's when the Commanders are in trouble. But if he's not doing a whole lot, you keeping him in the 60-yard territory for the game, you got the dub. It's that plain and simple. Now, for the Commanders going down the line to win a Super Bowl, this is another one of them teams that I don't really think they have a real shot at winning a Super Bowl. But if you are going to win it, they're doing the opposite of what most teams are doing. We're going to try to score 35 points a game, and we're going to ask our defense to bend but not break. Defense, hold them to 25. You hold them to 25, we'll score 26. That's how Washington goes into every single game. Now, with Marshawn Lattimore, depending on how healthy he is, that could be a major upgrade for them. That could get them in a lot of games where I would say they would have a shot. Like against the Eagles, I would say that you don't have a shot. But if you could tell me that you could put him on A.J. Brown and he could legitimately take A.J. Brown out the game, now we're talking about a whole different dynamic. And that's how I'm looking at this Tampa Bay game. If I get to put Marshawn on Mike Evans, who has historically been great against Mike Evans, we got a very different type of football game, and I'm good with that. Now, for the Buccaneers side, for them to have the chance to win this game and win the Super Bowl, to win this game, you just got to outscore them and make the plays on defense when you got to make the play. Kind of the same exact formula as the Washington Commanders. The difference is I think the Washington Commanders need to make plays on the back end, and for the Bucks, you need to make plays on the front end. You need to sack Jaden Daniels. You need to sack whatever quarterback y'all come up against. That's how they win these games. Get the opposing team behind the sticks, and that's how they could come off and win the football games in the playoffs. And Baker Mayfield, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. And Bucky Irvin, you just got to stay steady for them. Rashard White, continue fulfilling your role. So that's how I see this football game going. I'm going with the Commanders. I think they're going to win the game. I think they'll score more points. I think the final score of this game will be something like 34-31. With the Commanders getting the dub. Moving on now to our final game of this slate, Monday Night Football, which, pause for 1 second, I think is messed up. I do not agree with this. You should not have a playoff game on Monday night because whoever wins this football game, you get at least 1 day short rest to play your next playoff game. That is not fair. This is the playoffs, bro. This is the playoffs. You deserve at least a full week off to prep and to recover for that next game. I don't want any type of advantages outside of home field advantage for any team. That is messed up. The NFL, y'all being greedy, trying to take money. Y'all could have easily made this game, y'all could have easily made the Pittsburgh Steelers or Ravens play at 1 o'clock yesterday. Houston and them still play at 4 and make this a late night game. You would have made just as much money doing that, let alone making it on Monday night. NFL, y'all need to get that together. But going back to this now, first of all, I want to say condolences to all those people out in LA. All of them. It's scary. It's crazy. I come from a very privileged state of mind right now, being in Ohio. But hey, LA peeps, y'all got to get out of there. Y'all got to get out of there. I know it's hard to say, and I know it's hard to do because you're leaving all your belongings. But please go. Save your life. These materials can be regained. Somehow, some way, you could try to regain them. But you got to get out of there. You got to. And all of you guys that don't know nothing about it, please look it up. Please study it. We need to pray for them, sincerely. Now, we're going to get back to our regular scheduled programming, but I had to keep it real on that. So now back to this. This game has been moved to Phoenix. Well, not Phoenix, Glendale, Arizona, where the Cardinals play, where the Super Bowl was played at a couple years ago. We got the Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. The Vikings are minus 2.5-point favorites in this game. I think that's fair. It's fair. The issue is Sam Darnold, man. Is Sam Darnold that guy? Do we believe in Sam Darnold to that degree? And to be honest with you, I still don't know. I really don't know. The thing is, there's been moments this year that they won games where he's played bad. So it gets overlooked that he played bad. Yeah, they got 14 wins. He did not play well in all 14 wins. He may play well in 10 of them, but that means there's 6 games that he did not play well in. So with that being the case, I don't know what to think for this football game. I think this game is one of the most 50-50 games that we got this week. This game could be the best football game this week. Talking about defense and offense, where you're seeing defense be stifling and and you're seeing offense score points at a healthy balance. This could be that kind of football game. The Vikings should win. I will pick the Vikings to win. I also will pick the Vikings to win because all the things that's going on in LA right now, LA has now lost their home field advantage. LA ain't going to have their fan base there the same way that they would be. You literally got people that just lost their homes. They're not worried about going to a damn football game. Let alone the players. Let alone the players. They live there. They got homes there. They got all these things. Like, It's so much going on now. I just don't think that they're in a mental state to play this football game, so it could mess around and be a blowout. Which sucks for them. But for the Rams to win this football game, I feel like they need to dominate by running the football. Run the football, make passing plays when you need to make back passing plays. And on offense, defense, you need to rattle Sam Darnold by blitzing. Get to him. Hit him. As long as you're hitting Sam Darnold, he will fold. That's just who he is. He will fold. He's been like that ever since college. He will start to fold if you hit him. That's what happened last week with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions sold out on hitting that man. So with that being the case, that's what I believe that the Rams should do to win this football game. I don't really think the Rams have a shot to win a Super Bowl, so I'm not going to really even get into that because their offense can be too anemic at times, and their defense, they don't have the level of superstars on defense to just win games by playing defense. But the Rams are a tough out. You don't really like playing against the Rams because they're going to make you work. They're going to make you play. For the Vikings to win this game, simple. Get after Sam Darnold. Don't make mistakes on offense. Get after Matt Stafford and don't make mistakes on offense. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. You will outscore them. That's it. Get them behind the chains. Talk about the Rams. Get them behind the chains. Their offense is very fundamental. Is very based on timing. Boom, 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 boom. That's why Jared Goff didn't work there at first. He wasn't in that point of his career mentally where he could focus on that timing like that. That's what their offense is based off of. And it's supposed to be 3-step drop, look, boom, and the ball's out. If you can rattle that, you can mess that up somehow, you're going to win the football game. Now, for the Minnesota Vikings to win a Super Bowl, I feel like you need to create turnovers and score points. It sounds very generic. It sounds very basic. But the thing is, the game of football isn't hard because of that. It's hard because you got to play chess. How do we get to that point? So that's the question. How do you force the turnovers? How do you get after the quarterback? And then for Sam Darnold, do you continue making all the right plays? All the right plays. So that's what I think for them. I think the Vikings could make a deep run if Sam Darnold's playing at his peak. But him and Jordan Love are kind of in the same boat to me. They could both kind of get like this sometimes. And it's kind of which one was we want to be more like this, where it's slow and steady, than this. So that's what I'm rolling with. I'm rolling with the Vikings to win this football game. Now, two teams that we did not talk about, I'm going to get into them real quick. For the Detroit Lions, for them to win the Super Bowl, keep doing what you're doing. Play hard, play aggressive, hit, all that good stuff. Offensively, just keep doing what you're doing on offense. Punch people in the mouth, make explosive plays. It's that plain and simple. You are the best team in the NFC. I'm sticking with my pick of the Detroit Lions making the Super Bowl. And then for the Kansas City Chiefs, we're healthy now. Offense, go out there, dominate now. That offense can go out there and they could put up the points now. They could control the ball the way they've been controlling. Defense, you got Jalen Watson back, so now the second cornerback spot is back solidified. Now we are ready to rock and roll on defense. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the football in the league, and I think that honestly, fans, all you guys have given them nothing but fuel. You are talking about the 15-1 record. You're talking about the 15-2 record as if they didn't earn those dubs. They earned them dubs. There's only one game I was sitting here and say was pure luck, and that game was the Raider game. That was pure luck. Outside of that, they earned every single win. They earned all of them. Now, did other teams make mistakes? Absolutely. The game against the Cincinnati Bengals, they wasn't given a call. Guess what? Don't jump on the receiver's back. It's not rocket science. But that's how the Bengals play. Look at all the games that they lost because of penalties. They do that against anybody. So we just can't act like the refs just all of a sudden called that for the Chiefs. No, they didn't. Now, when you go on to look at the fact that like you're trying to not give them credit for blocking a field goal when it was literally a planned thing to do. It was coached to do that. When you look at the fact that they are 15-1, but you're like, oh, but it's lucky. When you look at the fact that, oh, they forfeited this game so that they wouldn't have to play against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, it's nothing but degrading and just throwing coal on fire. Like, the fire just going to keep building. You're not toning it down. So for the Chiefs, it's crazy to think that, like, they have a lot of motivation to win this third championship when it should be a situation where it's like they should be praised so heavily that they got to create their own motivation. They don't have to. You're creating it for them. Thank you, by the way, as a Chief fan. Now, let's get to our final part, our bets. Let's get our bets in, man. We got Josh Allen going over 1.5 touchdowns in this game, throwing touchdowns. We got Bo Nix also going over 1.5 touchdowns in this game. I think both defenses will give up some points. I think the quarterbacks are both going to score at least 2 touchdowns. I got Saquon Barkley scoring an anytime touchdown. I got Jaden Daniels going over 2 touchdowns, and I got Baker Mayfield going over 2 touchdowns. That's our best this week. I already told you guys about my games. If you're asking me to bet on the games, once again, the games that are remaining, I will take the Broncos to cover against the Bills, but I'm taking the Bills to win the money line. I'm taking the Eagles to win the money line against the Green Bay Packers, and I will be taking on the points and the money line, the Washington Commanders to win that game. Hey, you guys, man, welcome back to Knowing True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. It was great to get back this week. Sorry if my voice still sounds a little funky. I'm still doing a little bit of stuff. I still got pressure here, and I still got my ear tripping. But we back. We back, baby. It's playoff time. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. Hey, let's go Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go Kansas City Chiefs. But hey, so everybody, man, hey, hopefully y'all enjoy y'all's weekend. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the games. Pray for those in LA. Hey, y'all, this is No True Ball with your host, Brian Payne. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow. Hit me up on Twitter and all that good stuff. Peace.